Okay, so I ordered a retro ESP32 a couple of days ago because I really liked the Raspberry Pi Zero wireless version that Eugene Andruchenko had made, and he's been posting updates about this system, and he's done such a great job. It's a beautiful board. He ships it with the screen and speaker. Everything's installed. It just needs to be installed into a case. I've gone through the process once. You can see like how fast it boots up. It's amazing. I actually don't know how to play Zelda, so if I drop in there, it's my fault. But like, this is sort of ridiculous how nice this is. Obviously, there's a lot of reflection from the glass, but like, well, we'll just start something else here. I don't know. What is that? Star Wars. So we can see how I'm missing the back battery panel. I stole it from the first box, or this other box. Oh boy. Okay. Well, I haven't installed all the screws yet, but that's part of it. So this is the system, and it's very cool. We have, this is obviously the back, right? And I think these are standard Game Boy shells. Now, I didn't have a glass, so I sort of, some of the issues with fit are these flanges here, which, it says external power, and this is the volume control, and on the other side is the contrast button for the screen, and they all fit the wheels and the USB connection, right? So there's the volume control. This is the contrast control. So what we need to do is make some adjustments, and also because of, you can see the way the SD card fits, that's not gonna sit right. So we need to get this board like as flat as possible onto the box, and to do that we need to remove some stuff. And honestly, like, you can do it fairly quickly with just a file or a knife. And I'll kind of go through the process a little bit. It's pretty cool. So one of the things that I noticed when I was putting the other one together, the first thing to notice is that the headphone jack doesn't sit as deep as it needs to. And that's actually a pretty quick alteration. That is, I'm going to take this screen out so it doesn't get all banged up. But if you have some flat wire cutters, there are little tabs here, and they interfere with this headphone jack. So what you want to do is just clip them. Not as easy on that spot, but you don't have to take the whole one out of this last piece, because it doesn't interfere that far. But that'll let, those 4 clips will let that headphone jack sit right down in. You see now? Much better fit. So I can probably come in and try to clip a little bit further in. Yeah. There we go. And so that solves problem number 1. Problem number 1 is getting that headphone jack as flush as I possibly can. Problem 2 is this SD card. So you can see the SD card, which holds the firmware, holds the games, that needs to sit lower too. And in that case, you can see you have to take off like a couple of millimeters out of this part. And so the easiest thing to do is to use a Sharpie and mark the left and right positions of that card. right? This is going to make a little bit of dust, but whatever, it's okay. And then come in with a flat file and just file out where that card sits. So it may not be as far over as I need to get. The nice thing about modifying just small portions of the frame is this, you know, the frame still fits on itself. And the good thing about using a file is you're not removing too much material right away. You can just sort of work your way into removing what you need. Let's see. So that's probably going to need a bit more, but we can always look and just double check. So that's way better. You can see now that sits really nicely. Of course, you have used black Sharpie on a white case, but that's okay. I'm going to take a bit more off because you may not be able to see from this angle, but there's that bottom screw. The board doesn't fit flush against it, so I am going to take a bit more off. Whoa. Where are we at here? So I've got a bit of an angle going on here, and I think it's just because of how I hold this file. So I'm going to try to level out my filing. All right, let's take a look at this. Still kind of funky, but whatever. Let's see. Better. Way better. Okay. So this is the other thing. There's no real way to get around it, is the fact that the speaker is holding up a portion of this board. So, I mean, I may be going to all this trouble to get this down and just find out that the speaker's in the way, but I don't think there's any way to get around that. That's just a fact of life. No. Because there's protrusions here that help you line the board up. Okay? So when you look, that and this and that, they all kind of line up. And also the LED, the power LED, sits in that hole here, which then sits here. So when you're assembling it, everything kind of fits together to align. Well, I would imagine it's specifically for the buttons, but you get it all sitting in. There's my alignment marker there. That's sitting where it needs to sit. That looks pretty good. And then you want to make sure, see how the LED lines up in that spot right there. Okay. I mean, the point of all of this is that when all of the buttons are in place, I'm trying to find my power switch. What? Power switch is somewhere. You ever do that thing where you figure you got yourself all set up and you miss one thing? Well, somewhere is a small power switch. Looks like that, but in black. That puts a real, whoops. Puts a real cramp on the old stream, hey? Oh, well, whatever. Work it out. Somewhere there's a power switch. I was lucky enough, Eugene, the guy who designed this board, sent me spares of the buttons so that, but not the power switch, but spares of the buttons so that I could choose between like a black D-pad or a red D-pad and black button versus red button. I'm really leaning towards red. So anyways, now that I got the SD card and the headphone jack where I need them to be, once I locate that power switch, I'm going to be in a better mood, but whatever, that's okay. So there's that. So that sits on that. And these come together. So not the best filing job, but not the worst filing job. And all of that sits together. Now, the wheel does not turn, right? When this is tight, this wheel does turn, so I don't have to change anything there. But for sure, on this side, I need to file something down here because it's not sitting right. It looks like the I might file this down too, which is where the external power goes. It's not really bad, but it is interfering with it a little bit, and I just want to be sure that when charging it up, that it's not going to mess around. So again, you could, like I can come back over here and take a knife, but I really like the results from the file. So I'm just going to file this spot down a little bit, which is where the external power is. Yeah, that's better. And position. And yeah, so there, that's better. Now, the real big job that I had yesterday. Oh, there's the power switch. Oh my God, that's so good. It's so funny. These things they're just so hard to recognize. But the switch fits in here, and you see you want to line it up so that when you go like this, it moves the power switch over. Now, I just did it and it didn't, but you know, you go like this and I can maybe get closer. Closer? That may be as close as I can get. Anyways, so that's how that works. Yeah, okay. So that's that. Now to me, the big job that I had yesterday was trying to fit in my battery. And this one I have like a really large 2000 milliamp hour LiPo or Lion. LiPo. And it just fits in the battery case. Now in this case, luckily Eugene handed me a couple of battery cases. Like these are, you know, meant to look like the game, obviously, but they're so you can put a battery in. Now the problem with you can see is this battery is way too thick for this case. I have a slightly smaller battery, which now I could use, but This is 2000 milliamp hour, and this is 850 milliamp hour. Now, while this one might fit, do I just suck it up and use it? because it'll fit. I feel like the answer is yes. I should just suck it up and use it. All right, I'm gonna use the smaller one. I really want to use the big one, but you know, whatever, it's okay. So there are some modifications you need to make. Sorry. One, of course, would be to allow the cord to get through, and this, fortunately, is fairly easy to cut plastic. I just make a couple of cuts here and there, and then you can roll. What I do is I can roll my pliers, and it removes the material very quickly, not really a big fuss. And then I just file down, make sure it's not sharp, because you don't want it to catch on. You don't want it to catch the, the wire, right? And so that, there, now the wire sits nicely. So I'm probably going to fit it right in like there. There's a couple of things you see here. There's a little bump. When you put this together, this is meant to, like, this holds the ROM, right? So normally you would need this screw to hold it together. We don't need that, but I'm probably going to leave it because it will hold the thing in place, hold the battery in place. But I am going to clip out this bump. I don't really want to indent my battery any worse than I can help it. So that will get rid of that little bump, which I think is just an injection molding bump, but I don't know, whatever. So that would be that. And then I can place my LiPo in. Actually, I'm glad I'm doing this battery because the amount of changes I needed to make to the other case were beyond, beyond the pale. Oh boy. Okay, so let's see if we can get this closed without much fuss. Which, I mean, we might not be able to, but okay. Oh, darn. Come on, you. Let's go. All right. So there you go. There's the battery. And what that does, of course, slides in the back like so. Looks like the battery when it slides in, right? And then you can connect it to the front, which I hope I'm not on the wrong side. I think I can just about do it. Probably should have cut the other side. I'm going to change the side of this cord. Of course, now that I've done this, it's super tight. Let's change that. Change this side. Like that. Again, I'm just going to do a twist. That gets rid of that. A little filing. And then put your battery in. Oh, I should have just let it go the way it was. Let it go the way it wanted to go. Then like that. Oops. Let's let that go in. And yeah, there. So that, again, that side, I just want to feed the wire this way. So the wire goes past this one stand. That gives me a bit of play to work with when I'm putting this together. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean off all this dust. I think I got enough. That'll do. Let's put the buttons in. Now, I really am tempted to do red. I think red would be funny or look good. So I think I'm going to stick with the red. I'm going to go red. So these all align in a specific way, which is kind of cool. Like that. They sit in. And they're kind of held in place by their little protrusions like that. And then you add in the rubber pad to hold them in place. And you see here, when you push the button, the black conductive part, or whatever it is, makes the contact with the pad on the board. So I'm going to put the start and select pads in. I'm going to add in and then you position it so that the speaker fits in. Position everything where it's supposed to be. I think this is okay. Get that power button in. And be careful, you don't want to put too much pressure on the little switch because it could flip up. You want to be really careful about that. So I'm going to plug this in before shoving it into the case. This takes a bit of force, and I don't want to fight a big piece of plastic at the same time as everything else. So we'll just get that in like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to like that, so that like that. And once I get it routed, the wire routed, that is, oops. So here's where everything starts to jumble a little bit. You need to be super careful. You don't pinch any wires. You don't mess with any of the dials or switches. So let's see. So now it doesn't want to shut. So look at what's sort of causing the problem. It isn't a matter of it not wanting to shut. It's just that it's meant to fit tightly. So let's look at this. I'm gonna mess with the volume spot here because it's still catching a little bit. Now I have to say I'm really appreciative of Eugene for having done a ton of the modifications on this shell already. I suspect he was using this as a test shell, and he sent it over for me to try out. So very few modifications required to get this to work out. So thank you, Eugene. I really appreciate it. Let's get that power button back in there. Okay. Battery upside down. Like that, into the case. Turn the case over. And that. Okay. So we try to get it all to behave. Oh my gosh. Okay. And like so. Not bad. So I have some screws. Hold on. I don't want to spend too much time messing around with screws, but oh. Oh, I hope this battery is big enough for this. I think it is. Or it might not have enough charge. I should have double checked that, but let's see. Yeah, I think this is a dead battery sort of thing. So let's We do know that the assembly is right. I'm going to take this battery out for a moment. I'm going to have to charge it up, but I don't want to pull on the cable of the wires of the battery, so I tend to use a tool to do it, just to be on the safe side. And let's see. Is this battery dead too? Oh, see, I had the brightness turned down. Silly Billy. Okay, well, I'll put it back together, but you got the idea. That's how it all goes together. That's pretty funny. And I think that's it. I think that gives you a good sense of how to modify a Game Boy case to fit the retro ESP. Yeah. So have a great day.